Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we are taking a look at a developer diary. That's what they call these things. It's a blog, isn't it? It's a blog. Anyway, preview of update 1.3. So there is going to be another. I mean, do they call them major updates? I mean, it's not a hotfix, but it's also not another big content drop. Though it is sort of a content drop, as we'll get to, because you know they spoil us these days. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. Also, I'm so full of hay fever. That my eyes keep like welling up, and I can't see the screen half the time, and it's the worst. It's horrible. My whole schedule is ruined. So if you guys are noticing just random gaps where videos should be, and there aren't any, that's why. You know, just thought I'd let you know that. Working on it, trying to find antihistamines that do the job. So far, unsuccessfully. But anyway. Let's get to it. So, Developer Diary, a preview of Update 1.3, Behind the Scenes by Evan Teixeira. Good day, Total War Warhammer 3 fans. Australia confirmed. The mythical land of Australia. We hope you've been enjoying the first few weeks of Immortal Empire's news coming your way. That said, there's plenty more to come before August, including the next actual release coming to Warhammer 3, Update 1.3. Which is what we'll be talking about today. Update 1.3 Preview. Compared to its predecessors, Update 1.3 is going to be smaller than what Update 1.1 or 1.2 introduced to the game. As most of our development resources and QA time are focused on getting Immortal Empires and the rest of Update 2.0 prepped and ready for its debut, 1.3 is aimed at addressing a variety of outstanding issues, player-reported frustrations, and other areas that will help lay the foundation of the release of the major update coming this August. Here's a brief and far from complete look at some of the key features, many of which are based on player feedback coming to 1.3. So I do actually really like this format. Can I just say I love this format of delivering information? The fact they have like a rundown of like key stuff, and then we get patch notes later that are just like, you know, oh, Jeff has +2 melee defense. Like, that's just not fun to read. It's not like a important thing. It doesn't really give you the headlines. So I like how they split it up now. Because, yeah, sometimes like patch note is like, here's patch notes, and it's just so dry. And it's very hard to be like, ooh, this is something to be excited about. You sort of have to find the thing to be excited about. So I like how they break it up now. You know, it's nice. It's nice. Also, it gives a good idea of their intent. So if there's a change, you know what that change is supposed to do. So you can better comment on its viability as a change, right? As a patch. Be like, oh, this thing seems... the AI is being weird here. Oh, I see. That was the thing that addressed this thing. Okay. You know, cool. Now I get it. So, yeah, it's good. I think it's nice. So, Regiments of Renown 2. Hooray! I really like how they're releasing Regiments of Renown as well, actually, because, you know, just drip feeding them into literally all the factions is way better than one faction just getting a huge advantage out of the box. And we're getting them all for free, and I think that's better than tying what are quite game-changing units behind DLC, you know? So I think this is really fun. So 7 new Regiments of Renown units are joining the roster in our second official unit pack. Like the first, units will be joining each of the game's core races to provide new elite variants for any army you field. We'll take a closer look at each when 1.3 arrives. In the meantime, we welcome your guesses as to what what units you'd like to see in the coming release. Well, judging from the beginning, right, I'm going to say Kangaroo Warriors. You know, the High Elves have got them, right? Right? In Age of Sigmar, they got kangaroos now? Like magic battle kangaroos? I don't really follow Age of Sigmar. But I've seen them. I've seen funny pictures of them. So I'm hoping for one of those. I'm not. Wrong setting, but it would still be funny. Character trait and skill tree reworks. A popular topic since the launch of Warhammer 3, the traits received upon defeating legendary lords will be seeing some adjustments to feel more rewarding when you stomp a big baddie. Several skill trees will also be seeing updates. This should not only improve the efficacy of your lords and legendary lords, but will help factions who have historically struggled with replenishing their armies. We'll share the specific changes in the 1.3 release notes, so watch for them then. Alright, I'll try. Realm of Chaos. As we continue to tweak the Realm of Chaos campaign, several new changes are being implemented to address some of the more frustrating aspects identified by players. When an AI teleports to the Forge of Souls, players will now be prompted to teleport and confront them, if they are in a position to do so. This should counteract the need to proactively camp the Forge of Souls until the AI appears. Yeah, I think that's good, because it basically means that if you are behind in the Forge of Souls race, you just have to babysit until the end of time, you know? It's not a position I've had to be in, but it's something that if you are in that position, it's game ruining. Just start a new campaign. It's just, you know. So I think that's good. Although there is a much bigger time limit now. So you have to camp it out until you defeat them and then they're back to 0, right? But still, it's just less faff, you know? Less faff. Like, you've got the advisor with you. You should be able to open the portal there at any point, right? To go confront the thing. So, and you can just say, oh, he feels a wibble in the warp, and you know that the enemy are there. Go, off you go. You know, his book says, baddies there. You know, press big red button to teleport. Like, it's just, you can create any excuse you want for it, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be there. Just to be a bit more accommodating to players. Because, you know, they're the people who should be accommodated in a campaign. The AI can eat crap for all I care. You know, they're not going to get annoyed by any of this. So yeah, give the advantage to the player, make it more fun. So several tweaks are also coming to Tzeentch's realm. Specifically, sigils will now be revealed when the player enters and exits a teleport locus. I think that's great. You don't have to remember what steps you've tread if you've taken a wrong turn or have perceived to have taken a wrong turn. Because, you know, some people say, oh, what, you can't remember 5 minutes? Well, actually, you could end up... It could be literally hours of gameplay, or weeks since you last played that campaign. So, you know, just having that laid out so you can just look at it and know the things that you should know. Like, the game's challenge shouldn't come from how good your memory is. That's pointless. Like, who cares about that? That's not something that should be tested. It's not fun to have that to be the test. So, yeah, just let us keep a record of what the things are. If, you know, we've been able to attain that information. And going through a portal certainly is a position where you would understand the cause and effect there. Go through this portal, it goes to this one, mark the sigils. So I like that. That was something I argued a while ago. Action points used to move and position your armies will no longer be lost by interacting with the point of interest. Again, this is something I believe I argued in that video I did about Tzeentch specifically. So this is great. This is really nice, because those points of interest would usually give you, because it gave you a random piece of information, it wouldn't just tell you where to go. It would give you a random piece of information, which usually wasn't the next step of what you did anyway. So you'd end up with like another piece of the puzzle that wasn't actionable straight away. So what you'd actually be doing is losing yourself time because you're grabbing that little piece of the puzzle instead of just jumping through a portal. Because hoping for the best is actually quicker. It would take half as many turns just to go through the portal opposite you each time, right? Until you end up in your destination, than to go on the points of interest and ask for more of the map. So the fact that you can go get some of the map and then continue towards a portal is very good. What it doesn't say is whether a point of interest just means those little nodes that just tell you info, or if it means them and the portals. Because I think you should be able to go through a portal, come out on the other side, having teleported there, and still have movement. Because I think faster characters should get the benefit of that, you know, of being faster. So, you know, it's a start, though. It is a start. And the AI must now teleport 8 times before accessing the final area. It used to be, what, 3? In which case, yeah, they would just win if they got there first, easily. And if they got the same time as you, they would usually still win. And also, it was really misleading as well. I think it's a shame that they have to just do it randomly for them. Because it meant that if you observed what they were doing, it would actually just throw you off. You would end up going through the wrong portals because the AI would cheat, you know? It would just get the right answer, even though it's not the right answer. So you could go, oh, that's the portal I need to get to, and then I wouldn't do anything. You know, you'd end up somewhere else because the AI had cheated. So it's very misleading. But I get that it's different every time, and getting the AI to understand, yeah, tough. I can see why they would just sort of cheat it. Much easier. So, AI use of changing the ways. Changing the ways was quite frustrating, but usually quite fun. I thought it was quite funny, having to take back your own territory. So changing the ways is the thing that Tzeentch factions can do, where they can go, that settlement belongs to someone else now. Which I always thought was a hilarious troll. I thought it really mixed things up when you're usually just playing very defensively towards the end of that campaign, you know, where you're just waiting turns to go by before you can hop into another realm. So I thought it was a really fun way to mix things up, but apparently it just frustrated a lot of people, which I kind of get, and I think with Immortal Empires it might be a bit annoying, but I don't know, I think it's a funny way to mix up the campaign, that to me doesn't cause a huge amount of difficulty. But anyway, it's changed, so we'll see. So the AI's use of changing of the ways, Tzeentch, has been a notable pain point since the launch of the game. As such, 2 key changes are being made. Minor Tzeentch factions can no longer be able to use the changing of the ways, So, you know, far less of that, I suppose. But then there will be, as time goes by, there'll be more major siege factions. So, you know, we'll see. The cooldown is being increased to prevent it from being abused by AI factions. So it's not every 5 turns you have to attack your own settlement to get it back. So, you know, fine. Cathayan formation attack. So, yeah, there's a thing where if Cathay are in formation attack, they don't rush to the front. They try and hold that formation. They try and stay in that square. But then if the enemy are all just piling in, it means that they end up, like, your enemies are piling in like 2 or 3 models to any one of yours, because yours are just holding that formation. The back lines aren't moving into the little gaps to confront them 1-to-1. So you end up just outnumbered, and so you perform worse. So anyway, so adjustments have been made to improve Cathay's formation attack ability, both by adding additional melee defense and by updating the entity behavior so that soldiers will more actively seek out engagements. So they'll do more to try and attack, and they also won't get killed as much if they're in that formation, which I think is good. I think melee defense is the point of a formation, right? Because you're holding the line, and you have people positioned to back you up at any point. So there's less, you're less likely to be exposed, you know, to any sort of weakness there. So that's kind of the point of formations. So the idea that would, yeah, so it should give more melee defense, right? If they're holding the line like that. So I like it. I think that's good. So hopefully that'll fix that. But it's at least a step in the right direction. Kurgan spawn rates. Several changes are made to prevent Kurgan warband armies from spawning continuously, offering vigilant Cathayan players a chance to enjoy some well-earned moments of peace. I mean, it also stops them from farming experience, I guess. But, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen the other, you know. Takes all sorts to make a world. I don't know, some idiom. I'm sure there's an appropriate idiom. I'm dying, leave me alone. Miao Yin now has the Eye of the Storm. As much requested fix, Miao Yin will now be able to access her Eye of the Storm ability when in dragon form, as intended. I didn't know that it wasn't intended, so I hadn't had that in my whole campaign. You know, I hadn't been using it, which is a shame, because it's a good ability. But that's fixed, so good. Unit responsiveness. This is quite a big one. There's been some weird, quirky stuff with units. You know, just like dragging out formations, there's a little delay to stop like doing it accidentally, but the delay is huge. You have to click and drag and then wait for a while. So it means that like the more adept a player is, the more they're affected, because they're just quickly issuing a bunch of orders. And so like people have to slow themselves down, which is really annoying. So it's especially annoying in settlements where clicking and dragging is sometimes blocked by terrain anyway, so you don't know whether the thing's actually going to show up or not at all. So it's, oh yeah, there's some weird issues there. But anyway, several changes have been made to improve unit responsiveness in the game, from how units navigate settlement entrances and react to retreat orders, as well as large units and heroes interact via sync animation. So I'm not sure if that is addressing that, but to me that is a big factor in unit responsiveness. So we'll see. So AI focus on the backline. An issue where AI armies would focus almost exclusively on backline units is being addressed to encourage more meaningful tactics on the battlefield. This should also address an issue during siege battles, which would compel the AI to scale walls and march through defending units to enter the city. So reading this is interesting, because I didn't know why the hell AI kept insisting on just pushing through all of my units. I literally just thought they were like trying to get to objectives. I thought they just went, oh, it's an objective-based map, I need to go to the objectives at all costs. I thought that was what they were doing, but no, apparently they were trying to kill my archers, you know, somewhere else on the map. So that's what they were doing. So very strange, very, very strange. But I'm glad that's being addressed, because yeah, in siege battles it was especially odd, especially because your army would kind of let them push past, because, I mean, I guess the AI just keeps clicking, right? It just keeps issuing orders, so it can push through anything eventually. So you would end up with just a bunch of enemies that hadn't got killed. They would just sort of push through your lines, and then you had to chase them around your map. So it didn't really feel like you were defending the walls so much as not doing that. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully that'll be addressed, because that was very odd behaviour. It made like siege settlement battles really quite strange. But anyway, AI using abilities when they should not. There are a handful of instances where the AI would utilise abilities where the player could not. That is not intended. So we're ensuring that abilities are limited in the same way they are for the player. So I didn't know that was the case. I never noticed them. I guess I just had enough faith in the game that if an ability was being used, that they could use it. But apparently that's something that's been a problem. So good to know that's being remedied. So plague attrition. Plagues have been noted as exceptionally difficult to deal with, so we're making some adjustments to the duration and strength of attrition effects. This is something I've not encountered personally, because I feel like every Nurgle faction gets wiped out in all of 2 seconds. So I've just never had to deal with this, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a powerful thing if it actually, you know, if the faction actually stays alive and starts throwing them around. So land and domination battles are now in ranked. So matchmaking will now allow for both land and domination battles in ranked. More variety to test your skills. That's nice, because there's a lot of like land battle stands that want that back. So fair enough. You know, domination is still very much the sort of beta game mode in my mind. It's why I've still not jumped back into multiplayer, even though that was something I was intending to do in Warhammer 3. But yeah, with the amount of stuff I need to learn again, you know, remember, I mean, I built my channel on multiplayer, you know, years ago. A lot of people watching this now probably don't even realise that. I have like probably 1,000 battle replays on this channel. But yeah, I haven't played in years, because honestly I found it got a bit stale after a while, and I was really enjoying campaign because the whole story, you know, elements, the sort of the role-playing aspect is something that you don't really get in multiplayer battles, and I finally had the bandwidth to be able to upload more than 10 or 15 minutes of video every day, so I was able to actually start uploading campaign footage. So yeah, so I just sort of moved to that. But yeah, doing some multiplayer every now and then, it is something I would like to get back into, whether I will or not, you know. The best laid plans of mice and men and all that. We'll see. But yeah, domination was like a lot of extra stuff to have to juggle. So just having some classic land battles, I think, is really nice. So I like that. I like that's back. So you know, even if I don't touch it for, you know, another year, I think that's nice to have all of that stuff included. Variety is a good thing. You know, that's why these games are so great, is because they have such ludicrous levels of variety. And yeah. Same reason why they want more land battles in campaign, right? Because there's all siege battles, and the point is variety. So if you have the option to have these other battles, then we want to see them, you know. So I like that in multiplayer and campaign. They're trying to encourage those sort of, that variety. So moved from 1.3, while there is plenty more fixes and features coming with 1.3, all of which will be captured in the release notes, there's one project noted previously which has been bumped from the release. As with any project, we will continue to work on developing, testing and implementing it as soon and safely as possible. Increasing the frequency of field battles. See, I told you. Campaign. I'd read this before reading it to you guys, so, you know. Yeah, I thought I'd read that already. Apparently not. So we still want to ensure that there is a healthy mix of land, siege and minor settlement battles as you play through the campaign, particularly based on player feedback and the number of siege and settlement battles. This will be fixed in a future update, and we'll let you know when we have an updated timeline as to when it will be ready. So, yeah, variety is good, and this is something that I absolutely want to see fixed. Honestly, I think the first tier of minor settlement should just be a land battle, you know, like the sort of pseudo minor settlement battles they had in Warhammer 2, where you could just see the settlement in the background, you know. That would do fine for like a tier 1 settlement. So if you do find somewhere that's like really little, or like an army has just occupied some ruins, you know, had a couple turns to recover or something, then you can have a nice land battle over some territory. I think that's a very easy way to add that. A very simple way. Although I guess, you know, having to do the background stuff, I don't know if they can just change the coordinates of the map to be away from a settlement enough to fit a battle, you know. I guess it depends on how they designed it, but still. You know what I mean. So yeah, God, I'm so out of breath. Like, yeah, I can't breathe right now. So it's not great. Just, yeah, breathing's good. Just let's all agree. Being able to breathe is a plus. Just day to day, you know, it's just a useful thing. So coming June 30th. Finally, it's time to address the big question. When can you expect update 1.3? We promised that we'd be kicking off quarter 3, and we're going to do just that, releasing it Thursday, June the 30th, to usher in the new quarter. It's actually a day before quarter 3, so they're ahead of schedule. So expect to get Immortal Empires a day earlier than you thought it would be. Yeah, that's right. Be sure to book an earlier time off from your busy lives. Don't worry, we still have plenty of news about Immortal Empires, even as we prepare and release 1.3. We hope you enjoy these latest additions to Total War Warhammer 3 as you wait, and we'll see you the next week as we share more about Immortal Empires and Update 3. So this is all really promising. I think there's some really nice changes. And yeah, I've really got nothing else to add. I feel like I've added more than need be. But I am interested to know what you guys think the Regiments of Renown would be. Because, yeah, I've not really played much of 1.2. But I would be interested to hear not what you think necessarily a Regiment of Renown would be, but what gaps you think exist in the rosters that would be nicely addressed by Regiment of Renown. Is there a particular faction that is like really lacking magic damage, or you know, something? Just whatever, really. If you can see any gaps in a roster that could be filled, then yeah, let me know, because I think that's an interesting thing to discuss and to sort of extrapolate from. You know, we might actually land on some of the answers for Regiments of Renown, and at the very least, if we do identify some weird gaps in rosters that would be nice for like a one-off thing like a Regiments of Renown, because they're perfect for that. You know, there should be asymmetry, but also if you just have like the chance to put one unit in there that could maybe shield you from a particular weakness for your faction, just, or you know, a particular weakness against a particular faction, I think that's really fun, because you're very limited in that, and Regiments of Renown are great for that. So that's usually what they do. Because like Beastmen, they had, you know, the Regiment of Renown Centaurs had magic damage, which was a godsend in Warhammer 2, especially before, I think this is before Shadow Magic had a buff that gave magic damage as well. So there's very limited ways to have magic damage. So ethereal units would just win against Beastmen. So just little things like that help just sort of mitigate a disaster. So yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think the different Warhammer 3 factions are sort of missing in those regards. Because yeah, at the very least, even if the Regiments of Renown 2 don't fill that role, at least I can pass that on to the devs and say, hey, my community thinks that this is a gap. So I think it'd be an interesting line of conversation, and maybe you guys have thoughts on it. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to go fall asleep now. Go or lie down. The floor's really nice and cold, so I'll probably lie on that for a while. So comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, wherever that may be. I really don't know. Like I said, my schedule's a mess. But I'll get stuff recorded when I can, and yeah, probably more of these things, because these are easier, because I can just sit here and moan for a while. So, you know, I'll see you in the next one of these, probably. Bye. Have a good day.